to the second part of the first presidential debate stream.
Reputation under this man's
Hopefully this will work better. I have no idea.
Is horrible.
I'm trying to
including weaponization, which I'm sure at some point you'll be
changing
talking
the resolution
about, where he goes after
stuff.
his political opponent because he can't beat him fair and square.
You have 80 seconds left. My question was, what do you say to those voters who believe that you violated your constitutional oath through your actions and inaction on January 6, 2021, and worry that you'll do it again?
Well, I didn't say that to anybody. I said peacefully and patriotically. And Nancy Pelosi, if you just watched the news from 2 days ago, on tape to her daughter, who's a documentary filmmaker.
A documentary?
But she's saying, oh, no, it's my responsibility. I was responsible for this. Because I offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she turned them down. And the mayor of, in writing, by the way, the mayor, in writing, turned it down, the mayor of D.C. They turned it down. I offered 10,000 because I could see, I had virtually nothing to do. They asked me to go make a speech. I could see what was happening. Everybody was saying they're going to be there on January 6th. They're going to be there. And I said, you know what? There's a lot of people coming. You could feel it. You could feel it too, and you could feel it.
I don't know what he's feeling.
They ought to have some National Guard or whatever. And I offered it to her, and she now admits that she turned it down. And it was the same day she was, I don't know, she can't be very happy with her daughter because it made her into a liar. She said, I take full responsibility for January 6th.
President Biden?
Look, he encouraged those folks to go up on Capitol Hill, number one.
He did. Let's be real. We all saw those riots.
He sat there for 3 hours watching, begging, being begged by his vice president.
It's doing the same thing.
Patriots and great patrons of America. In fact, he says he'll now forgive them for what they've done. They've been convicted. He says he wants to commute their sentences and say that no. But he went to every single court in the nation. I don't know how many cases, scores of cases, including the Supreme Court. And they said, no, this guy is responsible for doing what was done. He did do a damn thing, and these people should be in jail, and they should be the ones who are being held accountable. And he wants to let them all out. And now he says if he loses again, such a whiner that he is, that it could be a bloodbath.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump?
What they've done to some people that are so innocent.
Some people.
You ought to be
so innocent, guys. They're all innocent. It's not like they went and they trespassed a federal building.
Portland, when they ripped down many other cities. You go to Minnesota, Minneapolis, what they've done there with the fires all over the city. If I didn't bring in the National Guard, that city would have been destroyed. When you look at all of they took over big chunks of Seattle. I was all set to bring in the National Guard. They heard that. They saw them coming, and they left immediately. What he said about this whole subject is so off. Peacefully patriotic. One other thing. The Unselect Committee, which is basically two horrible Republicans that
so horrible guys
out of office, and Democrats, all Democrats, they destroyed and deleted all of the information they found because they found out we were right. We were right. And they deleted and destroyed all of the information. They should go to jail for that. If a Republican did that, they'd go to jail.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden, I want to give you a minute.
The only person on this stage is a convicted felon is the man I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is...
He's a felon.
What he's telling you is simply not true. The fact is that...
Dude's actually a felon.
Effort on his part to stop what was going on up in Capitol Hill. And all those people,
it's funny.
Every one of those who are convicted deserves to be convicted. The idea that they didn't kill somebody, just went in and broke down doors, broke the windows, occupied offices, turned over desks, turned them over statues. The idea that those people are patriots? Come on. When I
Come on, man. I was waiting for it.
The debates we had first time around, I said, will you denounce these guys?
It's still doing it.
Sorry. Will denounce the people who attacked that Capitol? What are you going to do?
I'm going to give you a minute, President Trump, for a follow-up question I have.
He looks not happy about that.
After a jury convicted you of 34 felonies last month, you said if reelected,
you would, quote,
have every right to go after, unquote, your political opponents. You just talked about members of the Select Committee on January 6th going to jail. Your main political opponent is standing on stage with you tonight. Can you clarify exactly what it means about you feeling you have every right to go after your political opponents?
Well, I said my retribution is going to be success. We're going to make this country successful again, because right now it's a failing nation. My retribution is going to be success. But when he talks about going to be convicted probably numerous other times, should have been convicted before, but his Justice Department let the statute of limitations lapse on the most important things. But he could be a convicted felon as soon as he gets out of office. Joe could be a convicted felon with all of the things that he's done. He's done horrible things. All of the death caused at the border, telling the Ukrainian people that we're going to want $1 billion or you change the prosecutor. Otherwise, you're not getting $1 billion. If I ever said that, that's quid pro quo. That we're not going to do anything. We're not going to give you $1 billion unless you change your prosecutor having to do with the son. This man is a criminal. This man, you're lucky. You're lucky. I did nothing wrong. We'd have a system that was rigged and disgusting. I did nothing wrong.
Thank you, President Trump.
It's
President
rigged.
Biden,
It's disgusting, guys.
Right to you, sir. You want to respond? Go ahead. I'll give you a minute to respond.
The idea that I did anything wrong relative to what you're talking about is outrageous. It's simply a lie, number one. Number two, the idea that you have a right to seek retribution against any American just because you're president is wrong. It's simply wrong. No president's ever spoken like that before. No president in our history has spoken like that before. Number three, the crimes that you are still charged with, and think of all the civil penalties you have. How many billions of dollars do you owe in civil penalties for molesting a woman?
His son's a felon.
For doing a whole range of things, of having sex with a porn star.
Oh, wow. I didn't think we'd hear that.
Was pregnant. I mean, what are you talking about? You have the morals of an alley cat.
It's the morals of an alley
I didn't
cat.
have sex with a porn star, number one. Number two, that was a case that was started and moved. They moved a high-ranking official, a DOJ, into the Manhattan DA's office to start that case. That case is going to be appealed and won. We had a very terrible
Morals of an
judge,
alley
a
cat.
horrible
That's
judge,
hilarious.
Democrat.
That's really funny.
The prosecutor were all high-ranking Democrats, appointed people, and both the civil and the criminal. He basically went after his political opponent because he thought it was going to damage me. But when the public found out about these cases, because they understand it better than he does, he has no idea what these cases are. But when they found out about these cases,
all these lines are
my
prepared.
poll numbers went up way up. You know that because you're reporting it. And we took in more money in the last 2 weeks than we've ever taken in the history of any campaign. I don't think any campaign has ever taken. Hundreds of millions of dollars came pouring in because the public knows it's a scam, and it's a guy that's after his political opponent because he can't win fair and square.
Thank you, President Trump.
boy.
President Biden, you have said, quote, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy. Do you believe that the tens of millions of Americans who are likely to vote for President Trump will be voting against American democracy?
The more they know about what he's done, yes. The more they know about what he's done. And there's a lot more coming. He's got a lot of cases down the road coming around. He's got a whole range of
He does. He has a lot of court cases happening.
But I do know he has a real problem. And so the fact that, could you ever think you hear any president say that I'm going to seek retribution? Do you ever hear any president say that I thought Hitler had some good ideas? What got me involved to run in the first place after my son had died, I decided in Iraq, because of Iraq, I said I wasn't going to run again until I saw what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia. People coming out of the woods carrying swastikas on torches, and singing the same anti-Semitic bile they sang when back in Germany. And the young woman got killed. I spoke to the mother, and they asked him. They said, "What do you think of those people? The ones who got killed, the one who tried to stop it, and the ones," he said, "I think they're fine people on both sides."
I remember that. That was
American president would ever say Nazis coming out of fields carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic bile, carrying swastikas were fine people. And this is the guy who says Hitler's done some good things. I'd like to know what they are. The good things Hitler's done, that's what he said. This guy has no sense of American democracy.
President Trump.
Jake,
man.
both of you know that story has been totally wiped out.
What?
Because when you see the sentence, it said 100% exoneration on that. So he just keeps it going. He says he ran because of Charlottesville. He didn't run because of Charlottesville. He ran because it was his last chance. He's not equipped to be president. You know it, and I know it. It's ridiculous. We have a debate. We're trying to justify his presidency. His presidency, he's without question, the worst president, the worst presidency in the history of our country. We shouldn't be having a debate about it. There's nothing to debate. He made up the Charlottesville story, and you'll see it's debunked
that was
all
not
over
made
the
up.
place.
Seriously?
Every reasonable anchor has debunked it. And just the other day it came out where it was fully debunked. It's a nonsense story. He knows that, and he didn't run because of Charlottesville.
Seriously?
He used that as an excuse to run.
President Biden?
And debunked. It happened. All you have to do is listen to what was said at the time. And the idea that somehow
Fake
that's
news.
the only reason I ran. I ran because I was worried a guy like this guy could get elected. If he thought they were good people coming out of that forest, carrying those woods, carrying those torches, then he didn't deserve to be president. Didn't deserve to be president at all. And the idea that he's talking about all this being fabricated, we saw with our own eyes. We saw what happened on January 6th. We saw the people breaking through the windows. We saw people occupying his own vice president. Look, there's a reason why 40 of his 44 top cabinet officers refused to endorse him this time. His vice president hasn't endorsed him this time. So why? Why? They know him well. They serve with him. Why are they not endorsing him?
They don't like him.
Thank you,
It's
President
fake
Biden.
news.
We're going to be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate.
All right, they'll be back. So, first of all, apologies for all the cutouts here. I mean, you know, when all this gets archived, I'll try and get rid of those pauses, so at least it'll be a seamless watch. But that was the first part of the debate with Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And I think it's been interesting to hear Joe Biden speak. He sounds really tired. I don't think that's it. That is not it. There's more. There has to be more. I mean, there's probably just a little bit longer. I'll try to like put them all together. So, the old one was wild. I remember covering that too. I think there's going to be like a final question, and then that'll be it, because there's no audience this time. Also, yeah, we've got some artifacts because this is not a real green screen. But, you know, ooh, you can see the, you know, try to keep up the facade a little bit. Hang on, what's happening? Is that it? Oh, it says it will continue shortly, but I don't need to watch this other stuff. So there's more stuff that's happening. But, you know, for now, we gotta wait. This is the Politico Press Room. If you're new here, hello. We're just waiting for the debate to come back, because I don't want to air the audio from the commercials. So it's a little quiet here on the Western Front. But we're here. Just waiting for it to come back. Well, you know, I thought it was definitely a lot more productive of a debate than that first one. Did anything good happen in the first 5 to 10 minutes? No. No, not really. It was actually pretty boring. The real cool stuff happened. You caught it, so. I mean, Joe Biden looked really tired, which that was clear to see. I mean, I think this is awful for Joe Biden. I think overall, this is going to hurt him really bad, because Joe Biden does not sound well. He sounds like this. He sounds sick. He sounds like that, guys. Oh man, what are we gonna do? You know, and I just think it makes him look bad. And then Donald Trump's here, and he sounds animated. He sounds about as lucid as he can be. I mean, the dude's also like 80 years old, but, you know, Donald Trump sounds like he's alive. Joe Biden does not sound like he is alive. You know, he sounds like he's just like, you know, corpse on a string. You know, there's a lot of artifacting because in this room it's really dark. There's not a lot of light. So, hang on, let's see if the debate's coming back. Can abortion and Trump being a felon be enough for people to overlook Trump? I think a lot of people... Oh, here we go. It's back.
Welcome back to the CNN presidential debate live from Georgia. Let's talk about persistent challenges you both faced in your first
They have
terms,
a bunch
and
of
you'd
mental
certainly face
challenges,
again
all right.
in a second term. President Biden, while black unemployment dropped to a record
Black
low
unemployment.
under your
Look at my
presidency,
African
black
American.
families still earned far less than white families.
That's what he said
Black
before.
mothers are still 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related causes.
Oh
and
wait,
Black
this is a
Americans
Biden
are in
question. I thought this was
prison
going to be a
at
Trump
5
question.
times the rate
I
of
was
white
ready
Americans.
for
What do you
Trump.
say to black voters who are disappointed
Wow, it's
that
dark
you
here.
haven't made more progress?
You know.
They acknowledge they made a lot of progress, number one. The fact of the matter is there are more small black businesses that have been started than any time in history. Number two,
Now I'm talking about
wages of black unemployment is the lowest level it's been in
niche
a
topics
long
here.
time. Number three, we're trying to provide housing
Do you
for
like black people?
Americans.
Biden, go.
And
Oh yeah.
segregation that
Yeah, the great,
exists
yeah.
among these corporations that collude to keep people out of their houses.
Oh man.
And in addition to that, we find that the impact on the
Come on,
choice
Biden.
black
EXE.
families have to make relative to child care
Oh come
very
on.
difficult. When we did the first major piece of legislation that passed, I was able to reduce black child care costs. I cut them in half.
Dude is like
in half.
struggling to like form sentences.
Gotta make sure
Not
because when you
good.
provide those child care protections, you increase economic growth because more people can be in the job market. So there's more to be done, considerably more to be done. But we've done a great deal.
What do
so
you
far,
mean?
and I
Public
hope that
speaking is
more
just
can
so
be done.
easy. I mean,
You
look at
have
what Trump
49
does.
seconds left. What do you say to black voters who are disappointed with the progress so far?
I say I don't blame them for being disappointed. Inflation is still hurting them badly.
Like, sorry.
Example,
He's
provide
basically
for
like,
the
sorry
idea
guys.
that
I'll try
any
better.
black family,
I do better.
first-time home buyer should get a $10,000 tax credit to be able to buy their first home, so they can get started. I made sure that we're in a situation where
He's going to
all
talk
those black
about
families
policy,
that
which
got
honestly
money
no one cares about policy. Let's be
provided
real.
to take out student loans that were ballooning, that if they were engaged in nursing, doctors, and their student debt, all the rest is forgiven after 10 years. Millions have benefited from that. And we're going to do a whole lot more for black families.
Thank you,
Okay,
President
that
Trump.
was a
And he
long-winded
caused the
answer.
inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy
Inflation is
groceries
killing
anymore. They
people.
can't-
It's
you
making
look at the
groceries
cost
a
of
lot
food,
more
where it's doubled,
expensive. Let's be real
tripled,
about
and
that.
quadrupled.
You
They
can
can't
feel it
live.
when you go
They're
to the
not
store.
living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with no.
Now, who
essentially
caused
no
inflation?
It was
That's up for
perfect. It was
debate.
so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all of the other.
The Green
all
New
this
scam
money
is
that's
the
being
Green
thrown
New
out the
Deal.
window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're
More
going to see
about
something that's going to be
immigration.
the worst in our history.
Thank you. President Biden?
There was no inflation when I became president. You know why? The economy was flat on its back. 15% unemployment. He decimated the economy. Absolutely decimated
And now
the
Biden's
economy.
talking about how
That's why there
COVID
was no
decimated the
inflation
economy
at the time.
because
There were no
that's
jobs.
what Biden inherited.
Provided thousands of millions of jobs for individuals who are in all communities, including minority communities. We made sure that they
I
had
know.
health
I want
insurance.
Taco Bell.
We have
I want to get
covered
Taco
with
Bell.
the ACA
I might
has
get
the
some,
approved-
not
and
tonight,
made
but
sure that they're
tomorrow.
$8,000 per person in a
I
family
really want it.
to get written off for health care. But this guy wants to eliminate that. They tried 50 times. He wants to get rid of the ACA again. And they're going to try
The
again.
Affordable
if they
Care
win.
Act.
We find ourselves
Ah,
in a position
yes.
where
Wants to
the
get rid of that.
idea that we're not doing any. We put more police on the street than any administration has. He wants to cut the cops. We're providing for equity.
He wants to
and
cut the
making sure
cops? I don't
people
know
have
about that.
a shot to make it. There's a lot going on, but in inflation, he caused it by his tremendous malfeasance in the way he handled the pandemic.
Thank you. Another persistent challenge is the climate crisis. 2023
Donald
was the
Trump doesn't
hottest
care about the
year in recorded history, and
climate.
communities
Wow.
across
Donald Trump
the
does
country
not
are
care about the
confronting
climate crisis. Let's be
devastating
real.
effects of
He
extreme
thinks that
heat,
there's global
intensifying
cooling.
wildfires,
There's global
stronger
cooling
hurricanes, and rising sea levels.
in our
Former
environment.
President Trump, you've vowed to end your opponent's climate initiatives, but will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
Well, let me just go back to what he said about the police, how close the police are to him. Almost every police group in the nation from every state is supporting Donald J. Trump. Almost every police group. And what he's done to the black population is horrible, including the fact that for 10 years he called them super predators. We can't, in the 1990s, we can't forget that. Super predators was his name. And he called it to him for 10, and they've taken great offense at it. And now they see
I
it
thought
happening.
super predators
But
was
when they see what
a
I
Hillary
did for
Clinton,
criminal
Bill
justice
Clinton name.
reform
I don't know.
and for
I
the
didn't check that.
historically black colleges and universities, where I funded them and got them all funded, and the opportunity zones with Tim, as you know, Tim Scott was incredible. He did a great job. Great senator from South Carolina. He came to me with the idea, and it was a great idea. It's one of the most successful economic development acts ever in the country. Opportunity.
He's kind of just avoiding the question.
The biggest beneficiary are
trying to
blacks,
not talk
and
about
that's
climate.
why we have the best numbers with them in maybe ever. They're saying ever. I read this morning where ever the best numbers. He's lost much of the black for Hispanics. But wait till you see these millions of people pouring into our country, and they're going to take the jobs. And it's already started, and you haven't seen anything yet. It's a disaster.
You've 38 seconds left. President Trump, will you take any action as president to slow the climate crisis?
So I want absolutely immaculate clean water, and I want absolutely clean air, and we had it. We had H2O.
Breathe air.
We had the best numbers.
Breathe
ever.
air. You don't need a vape.
We were using all forms of energy, all forms, everything.
My vape's done charging.
During my 4 years, I had the best environmental numbers ever. And my top environmental people gave me that statistic just before I walked on the stage, actually.
I don't know where the hell he's been. The idea that anything he said is true. I've passed the most extensive.
I don't know where have you been, Joe Biden. I don't know where both of you have been.
In history, we find ourselves, and by the way, black colleges. I came up with $15 billion for HBCUs, historic black universities and colleges, because they don't have the kind of contributors that they have to build these laboratories and the like. Any black student is capable in college of doing any white student can do. They just have the money, but now they'll be able to get those jobs in high tech. We're in a situation where the idea that he is claiming to have done something that had the cleanest water, he hadn't done a damn thing with the environment. He pulled out of the Paris Peace Accord, Climate Accord. I immediately joined it because if we reach 1.5 degrees Celsius at any one point, there's no way back. The only existential threat to humanity is climate change, and he didn't do a damn thing about it. He wants to undo all that I've done.
Yes, he did.
The Paris Accord was going to cost us $1 trillion, and China nothing, and Russia nothing, and India nothing. It was a rip-off of the United States. And I ended it because I didn't want to waste that money because they treat us horribly. We were the only ones. It was costing us money. Nobody else was paying into it. And it was a disaster. But everything that he said just now, I'll give you an example. I heard him say before insulin. I'm the one that got the insulin down for the seniors. I took care of the seniors.
If you have I think it's if you have
all of our medical
diabetes,
because the migrants coming in, they want everybody. And look, I have the biggest heart on the stage. I guarantee you that. And I want to take care of people. But we're destroying our country.
It's got the biggest heart on stage,
schools,
everybody.
Hospitals.
Whoa,
guys.
Taking
over Social Security.
I've got the biggest heart.
Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid.
Wow, guys. That sounds like Cartman.
The idea is that we, in fact, we were the only ones of consequence who were not members of the Paris Accord. How can we do anything if we're not able to? The United States can't get its under control. One of the largest polluters in the world, number one. We're making significant progress. By 2035, we will have cut pollution in half. We have made significant progress, and we're continuing to make progress. We set up a climate corps for thousands of young people will learn how to deal with climate, just like the Peace Corps. And we're moving in directions that are going to significantly change.
I have never seen
the cause of pollution.
a lot of the Biden initiatives going forward
he has the biggest heart up here, and he's really concerned about pollution and about climate. I've not seen any indication of that. And by the way, with regard to prescription drugs, one company agreed that they would reduce the price to $35, which I was calling for, one, voluntarily. I made sure every company in the world, every pharmaceutical company, cannot have to pay.
Thank you.
And by the way,
So every day,
By the way-
millions of Americans struggle just to make ends meet. For many older Americans, Social Security provides a critical lifeline.
Social Security.
President
I'm not
Biden,
old enough to have
nothing
to
is
care
done
about
to
Social Security, but
seniors will see their
the
benefits
Republicans
cut in
have
just over
repeatedly
10 years.
wanted to
Will you
cut
name
Social
tonight
Security.
one specific step that you're willing to take to keep Social Security solvent?
yes, make the very wealthy begin to pay their fair share. Right now, everybody making under $170,000 pays 6% of their income, of their paycheck, every single time they get a paycheck from the time the first one they get when they're 18 years old. The idea that they're going to, I'm proposing that everybody, they pay, the millionaires pay 1%. So no one after, I would not raise the
Oh,
cost of
man,
Social
Joe
Security
Biden.
for anybody under $400,000. After that, I began to make the wealthy begin to pay their fair share by increasing from 1% beyond to be able to guarantee the program for life.
So you still have 82 seconds left. Are there any other measures that you think that would be able to help keep Social Security solvent, or is that one enough?
Well, no, that one enough will keep it solvent, but the biggest thing will be
Solvent?
if we defeat this
You know,
man,
if you don't know what that
because he wants
means,
to get rid of Social Security.
solvent
He
is
thinks
sustainable.
There's plenty to cut in Social Security. He's wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare both times, and that's what. And if you look at the program put forward as well, the idea that we don't need to protect our seniors is ridiculous. And by the way, the American public has greater health care coverage today than ever before. And on the ACA, as I said, you're in a circumstance where 400,000 people, 40 million people would not have insurance because they have a pre-existing condition. Only thing that allows them to have that
Wow,
insurance
Joe Biden
the
is
fact
not
that
very
they, in fact,
charismatic.
are part of
Let's
the
be real.
ACA. And by the way, the other thing is, we're in a situation where we talk about education for black communities. I've raised the
All right,
number,
it's a
the
pivot.
amount of
This
money
is
for
really
programs
not
by another
good
$8,000.
speaking.
So
I mean, I
anybody
wonder what the
making over
pundits are going to say, but
$70,000 a year
I
will
don't
be
think
able
it's
to
very
put $15,000
engaging.
toward their tuition.
It's just not engaging. It's not something that normal people will bother to listen to.
So I've dealt with politicians all my life. I've been on this
All
side
my
of the
life.
equation for the last 8 years. I've never seen anybody lie like this guy. He lies. I've never seen it. He could look you in the face. So many other things too.
Is that real? Do
We
you
mentioned the
have to go to
laptop.
work
We
at 4
mentioned
a.m.?
Russia, Ukraine,
Please
Ukraine.
tell me that's
Everything
not
he
true.
does is a lie. It's misinformation and disinformation. The losers and suckers story that he made up is a total lie on the military. It's a disgrace. But Social Security, he's destroying it because millions of people are pouring into our country, and they're putting them onto Social Security.
That's
They're putting them onto
horrible.
Medicare, Medicaid.
Oh, I'm sorry
They're
to
putting
hear
them in our
that.
hospitals. They're taking the place of our
Oh,
citizens.
best of
They're-
luck. That's
what they're doing
terrible.
to the VA, to our
Going to work
veterans
at
is
4 a.m.
unbelievable.
That's
Our
going to be
veterans are
you.
living
You're
in
going to
the
be like
street,
Joe Sleepy
and
Joe
these
over
people
here.
are living in
Sleepy
luxury
Joe over
hotels.
here.
He doesn't know what he's doing.
He doesn't know what he's
It's
doing.
really coming back. I've never seen such anger in our country before.
President Biden?
The idea that veterans are not being taken care of, I told you before. And by the way, when I said suckers and losers, he acknowledged after that he fired that general. That general got fired because he's the one that acknowledged that that's what he said. He was the one
gosh.
standing with Trump when he said it. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're going to be in a situation
Extra
where
fine. I haven't
all
played
these
that. Is it fun?
Millions and millions, the way he talks about it. Illegal
I bet it's more
aliens are
fun than
coming into
hearing
the
Joe
country
Biden
and
talk.
taking away our jobs. There's a reason why we have the
Dude's like a
fastest growing
walking
economy in the
carcass.
world. The reason why we have the most successful economy in the world. We're
There's
doing
just
better
no
than any
energy.
nation
And
in
I'm
the
not
world.
feeling the
And
energy.
by the way, those 15 Nobel laureates he talked about being phony.
Oh, man. That's hard to
they
listen
all
to.
said that if Trump is reelected, we're likely to have a recession, and inflation is going to increasingly go up. And by the way, worst president in history, 159 presidential scholars voted him the worst president in the history of the United States of America.
President Biden, thank you so much. Let's turn to the cost of child care, which many American families struggle to afford. President Trump, both you and President Biden have tried to address this issue. but the average cost of childcare in this country has risen to more than
I don't have a
$11,000
kid.
a year per child. For many families,
Sorry,
the
guys.
cost of childcare for 2 children is more than their
So
rent.
COD multiplayer should have
In
been
your
for the
second
past
term,
8
what would you
years.
do to make
Ooh,
childcare
check it
more
out.
affordable?
Just to go back, the general got fired because he was no good. And if he said that, that's why he made it up. But we have
Oh, wow.
19 people that said I didn't say it, and they're very highly respected, much more so than him. The other thing is, he doesn't fire
I'll have to check it
people.
out.
He never fired people. I've never seen him fire anybody. I did fire a lot. I fired Comey because he was no good. I fired a lot of the top people at the FBI, drained the swamp. They were no
I
good.
guess
Not
I
easy
guess
to fire
everybody that
people.
he
You pay a
fires is
price
no
for it,
good.
but they were no good. I inherited these people. I didn't put them there. I didn't put Comey there. He was no good. I fired him. This guy hasn't fired anybody. He never fires. He should have fired every military man that was involved with the Afghanistan horror show, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country. He didn't fire. Did you fire anybody? Did you fire anybody that's on the border that's allowed us to have the worst border in the history of the world? Did anybody get fired for allowing 18 million people, many from prisons, many from,
Oh,
from
boy.
mental institutions? Did you fire anybody that allowed our country to be destroyed?
The show is The
Joe,
Apprentice.
Our country is being destroyed as you and I sit up
You're
here
thinking
and waste
about
a
The
lot of time on
Apprentice.
this debate.
You're fired.
This shouldn't be a debate. He is the worst president. He just said about me because I said it. But look, he's the worst president in the history of our country. He's destroyed our country. Now all of a sudden he's trying to get a little tough on the border. He came out with a nothing deal, and it reduced it a little bit, like this much. It's insignificant.
That much, so
He
insignificant.
wants open borders. He wants our country to either be destroyed or he wants to pick up those people as voters. And I don't think we just can't let it happen. If he wins this election, our country doesn't have a chance, not even a chance, of coming out of this rut. We probably won't have a country left anymore. That's how
There's
bad
no
it is.
country left.
He's the worst in history by far.
Thank you, President Trump. President Biden?
We are the most admired country in the world. We're the United States of America. There's nothing beyond
Just so
our
dark in
capacity.
this room.
We have the finest military in the history of the world, the finest in the history
Hey,
of the world.
cut my hair.
No one thinks we're weak. No one wants to screw around with us. Nobody. Number one. Number two, the idea that we're talking about worst presidents. I wasn't joking. Look it up or go online. 150
I thought the internet was full of
58 to
fake
home an
news,
exact
Joe
number.
Biden.
Presidential historians, they've had meetings and they voted who's the worst president in American history. One through best to worst. They said he was the worst in all of American history. That's a fact. That's not conjecture. He can argue they're wrong, but that's what they voted. The idea that he is doing anything to deal with child care. He did virtually nothing to child care.
Number
We should significantly
15.
increase the
Can
child
I
care
get
tax credit.
the
We should
number
significantly increase the
15?
availability of women and men or single parents to be able to go back to work, and we should encourage businesses to have
Thank you, President
child care
Biden.
facilities.
President Trump, the question was about what would you do to make child care more affordable, if you want to take your minute.
He wouldn't.
Just so you understand, we have polling, we have other things that they rate him the worst. Because what
Oh
he's done
my
is so bad.
gosh.
And they rate me. I'll show you. I will show
Uh-oh.
you. And they rate me one of the best. Okay. And
What?
if I'm given another,
I'm the
4
best
years,
president,
I will be
everybody.
the best. I think I'll be the best. Nobody's ever created an economy like us. Nobody ever cut taxes like us. He's the only one I know. He wants to raise your taxes by 4 times. He wants to raise everybody's
taxes.
by 4 times. He wants the Trump tax cuts to expire. So everybody, including the two of you, are going to pay 4 to 5 times. Nobody ever heard of this before. All my life, I'd grow up and I'd see politicians talking about cutting taxes. When we cut taxes, as I said,
4
we did
times.
more
That's
business.
a
Apple
score
and all these
multiplier,
companies,
guys.
They were bringing money back into our country. The worst president in history by far, and everybody knows it.
President Biden?
Look, the fact of the matter is that he's dead wrong about. He's increased the tariff. He will increase the taxes on middle class people. I said I'd never raise a tax on anybody making less than $400,000. I didn't. But this tariff is 10% tariffs. Everything coming in the country, you know what the economists say? That's going to cost the average American
10% tariffs are going to raise tax.
$2,500.
Everything is just going to
two,
be raised
he's
in
in a
price.
situation where
Everything
he
is just going
talks
to raise in
about how
price
he has
if you
not raised, he's somehow helped the middle class.
go with Trump's
Middle
tariff
class has been
plan.
devastated by you. Now you want a new tax cut of $5 trillion over the next 10 years, which is going to fundamentally bankrupt the country. You had the largest deficit of any president in American history, number one. Number two, you have not, in fact, made any contact, any progress with China.
China.
We had the lowest trade deficit with China since 2010.
Thank you, President Biden. Thank you, President Biden. Let's discuss an epidemic impacting millions of Americans that both of you have made a top priority in your first term, the opioid crisis. And
Wow,
for
I haven't
both
heard
of
about
you,
that in a year.
The number of overdose deaths in this country has gone up. Under your term, it went up. Under your term, it has gone up. Former President Trump, despite the efforts that both of you have made, more than 100,000 Americans are dying.
I better not do that voice anymore right now.
Primarily from fentanyl and other opioids. What will you do to help Americans right now in the throes of addiction who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
To finish up, we now have the largest deficit in the history of our country under this guy. We have the largest deficit with China. He gets paid by China. He's a Manchurian candidate. He gets money from China. So I think he's afraid to deal with them or something. But do you notice he never took out my tariffs because we bring in so much money with the tariffs that I imposed on China. He never took them away. He can't because it's too much money. It's tremendous. And we saved our steel industries, and there was more to come, but he hasn't done that. But he hasn't cut the tariffs because he can't, because it's too much money. But he's got the largest deficit in the history of our country. And he's got the worst,
Biden better talk about his son here.
Situation with China. China's going to own
He's just
us
talking
if
about
you
China,
keep
China,
allowing
China.
them
Come on.
to do what they're doing to us as a country.
Come on, Trump,
they
get
are
real.
Killing us as a country, Joe, and you can't let that happen. You're destroying our country.
So, President Trump, you have 67 seconds left. The question was, what are you going to do to help Americans in the throes of addiction right now who are struggling to get the treatment they need?
Jake, we were doing very well at addiction until the COVID came along. We had the 2.5, almost 3 years of like nobody's ever had before, any country, in every way. And then we had to get tough. And it was the drugs pouring across the border were...
it's going to make it an immigration issue.
We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot.
Oh, the dog. It's so incredible, guys.
Very, very low
We use the dog to sniff the
numbers
drugs and the crime
18 million people that I believe
and the
is even low
COVID.
because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden.
Fentanyl and the byproducts of fentanyl went down for a while. And I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl, these big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border. And it costs a lot of money. That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs, more numbers of agents, more numbers of...
So is the fentanyl machine just gonna roll? It's just gonna roll through all the ground? I don't think that's what he means.
Republican colleagues said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those.
We just put the immigrants in machines.
Come
on, guys.
In Asia,
it won't hurt.
Precursors for fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us the means.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, and again, the question is about...
We need those machines, guys.
...right now struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing.
Nothing.
It's just like when you have a hostage. We always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars. Before I take office, I said by literally as soon as I win the election, I will have that reporter out. He should have had him out a long time ago, but Putin's probably asking for billions and billions of dollars because this guy pays it every time. We had 2 cases where we paid $6 billion for 5 people. I got 58 people out, and I paid essentially nothing.
Thank you, President
What
Trump.
a deal. People are worth nothing. Come on, guys. Believe me.
President Biden, you would be 86 at the end of your second term.
Oh, man.
how do you address concerns about your capability to handle the toughest job in the world well into your 80s?
So old.
First of all, I spent half my career being criticized being the youngest person in politics. I was the second youngest person.
He was the
ever
second
elected to the
youngest
United
senator
States Senate,
at the time.
and now I'm the oldest. This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look how I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips. We used to have 40% of the market. We invented
Computer
those
chips, guys.
and we lost it.
I'm streaming off
because
of a
he was
computer
sending
chip.
people to find the cheapest
All the
jobs
streams
overseas, and
are
the people
coming
were
from these
covered.
computer chips, guys.
So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States.
I'm not a fan of
And
Samsung phones.
Guess what? Those
I had a
fabs, they
Samsung
call them,
phone,
that
and it lost support
to build
after
these
2
chips,
years,
those
so I don't
fabs pay
want
over
that
$100,000.
ever again.
You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs
Samsung
for
is
Americans all
not
over-
great,
from all over
in
the
my
world.
opinion.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah,
No.
I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before.
Well,
we're the
welcome
envy
to
of
the
world.
real world,
Name me
Biden.
a
People talk
single
like this. It's
major
wild.
Country president who wouldn't trade places with the United States of America for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the world who keeps our word, and everybody trusts us. All of our allies and those who he coddles up to, from Kim Jong-un, who he sends love letters to,
Oh.
Putin, etc. They don't want to screw around with us.
Yeah, that sounded like
Thank you.
gunshots.
Former President Trump, to follow up,
I heard it
you
was
will
like
be
pop,
82
pop, pop.
at the end of your second term. What
It's
do you
wild.
say to voters
Mind
who
danger?
have concerns about your capabilities to serve?
Well, I took 2 tests, cognitive tests. I aced them.
Oh my
Both
God.
of them, as you know. We made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one.
I took
go
so
through
many
the first 5
cognitive tests. I
questions,
did
he
so
couldn't do
great.
it.
I aced it.
But I took 2 cognitive tests. I
Dude,
took
it's for
physical
dementia.
exams every year. And, you know, we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart, and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a
Biden
shape
took the
as I was
BuzzFeed quiz,
25,
yes.
30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But
Biden
I was
honestly is in
willing to
way
take the
better
cognitive
shape
test.
than Trump
And you
is,
know
let's
what?
be
If I
real.
didn't do well, I aced him. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White
Ronnie
House counsel,
Jackson's-
and then
I
took
don't think
another
he's
one, a similar
alive.
one. And one of them said they've never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden.
Oh God.
You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway.
Oh.
Anyway, just take a look at what he says he is.
They're fighting about weight.
What he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's learn what voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that
They're talking
once
about
all legal
golf.
challenges
What
have
the
been
hell was that?
exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins? And
They're talking about golf.
You will
I
say
got a
right
6
now that
handicap.
political
No, you
violence
have an
in
8
any
handicap.
form
That's
is
talking about golf. I should
Well,
play
we
Wii
shouldn't
Sports
have to say
golf
that, but of
in
course I
celebration of
believe
that.
It's
That was
totally
wild.
unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time,
Twitter,
and also my statement
X,
that I made in the Rose
X.com,
Garden,
guys.
you would say it's one of the strong two. And I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody, And I'll tell you
I
something.
do have golf with friends.
I wish he was a great president because
I would play golf with friends.
I'd be at one of my many
At some
places
point.
enjoying myself.
I think it would be funny.
It wouldn't be me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president.
So bad, guys.
That I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so bad. His military policies are insane. They're insane. These are wars that will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III, and we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin,
I'll have to play it. I'll have to see if I get
him.
frustrated.
They
I'm
have
excited. I'll
nothing
play that
going with
sometime.
this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
Wow, guys.
You want a World War III? Let him follow and win.
Whoa.
And say,
Is
"Do
that
what you
World War
want,
III?
NATO. Just do what you want." There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major leader in the world who wouldn't trade places with the job I've done and what they've done. Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful people. It's because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything, and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war, just let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
No.
Just to finish what he said, if
Oh,
I might.
gosh.
Russia.
Russia.
They took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that.
Oh,
I got
boy.
along with him very well, but he knew
Nah,
not to play
dude.
games. He took nothing from me.
Obama.
But now he's going to
Obama.
take the whole thing from this man right here. That's a war that should have never started. It would have never started, ever, with me. And he's going to take Ukraine.
Yeah, he's talking in
you
third
asked me a
person. It's
question
really
before,
weird.
Would you do this with? He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia.
He's not
Because
going to
Ukraine's not
mention
winning
whether
that
he'll
war.
accept the
He
election
said,
results.
I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many
So
people.
sad.
And they've lost those gorgeous cities with the golden domes that are 1,000 years old, all because of him and stupid decisions. Russia would have never attacked if I were
President Trump,
president.
the question was, will you accept the results of
No.
the election, regardless of who wins? Yes or no, please.
If it's a fair and legal and good election, absolutely. I would have much rather accepted these, but the fraud and everything
There was no
else
fraud.
ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week. But
There was
will
literally no
absolutely-
fraud.
There's nothing I'd rather
That's
do. It would
ridiculous.
be much easier for me to do that than I'm running again.
Oh, there's
I wasn't
gunshots against
really
World War III,
going to
guys.
run until I saw the horrible job he did. He's destroying our country. I would be very happy to be someplace else, in a nice location someplace. And again, no indictments, no political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up to a very high level because the people understand it.
Oh, boy.
Let's see what your numbers are when this election is over. Let's see. You're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued
He's a
to
whiner,
appeal
guys.
to the courts all across the country. Not one single court in America said any of your claims had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to
The
provide
numbers, Mason.
lie.
Where are the
About somehow
numbers?
There's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN press.
All right, commercial break, guys. Look at, he was smiling when he was like, "Would you accept the election?" He was just like, don't know about that, guys. I don't want you guys to subscribe to newsletters, guys, but I'm gonna get a drink. I'll be right back. Are you ready for this to be over? I'm ready for this to be over. This has been a long day. Oh. Oh, PBS. So, for those of you who have just got here, hello, this is Politico. Welcome to the press room. And we are here with a debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I am ready for it to be over. This was a wild debate. I think Joe Biden wants it to be over. I mean, I don't blame him. Probably just woke up like 5 minutes before the debate. He was just like, oh man, I gotta talk today, guys. He's probably ready. I'm ready. Oh, here we go. Hang on. Oh. It's just a commercial. Sorry, guys. I thought something was happening, but nope. It's just a commercial. I know. I mean, is it just me? I thought this debate would be like an hour long. Am I the only one who thought this? I feel like I was the only one that thought this.
Their closing statements.
Closing arguments.
Predetermined by a coin toss. We're going to begin.
Okay, everybody.
With President
Coin toss.
Biden.
This is
You
just
have
like
2
football.
minutes.
It's a football game. Closing statements, guys.
We've made significant progress from the debacle that was left by President Trump in his last term. We find ourselves in a situation where, number one, we have to make sure that we have a fair tax system. I ask anyone out there in the audience, or anyone out.
There is no audience. What do you mean?
The tax system is fair. The fact is that I said nobody even making under $400,000 had a single penny increase in their taxes, and will not. And if I'm reelected, that'll be the case again. But this guy has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America.
Why is his final statement about taxes so blah, so boring?
The ability of Medicare for the ability for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for insulin instead of $400. No more than $2,000 for every senior, no matter how much prescription they need. You know what that did? That reduced the federal debt by $160
I gotta sneeze.
billion over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America.
Didn't want you guys to hear that.
Get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credit people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all the things that are causing health problems for people across the country. We're going to continue to fight to bring down
so
inflation
boring, guys.
and give people a break.
Thank you, President Biden. President Trump, you now have 2 minutes for your closing statement.
Like so many politicians,
He should have
this
went
man
off
is
about
just a
Trump being a
complainer.
felon. I totally
He said,
agreed.
"We
He didn't
want to
do that.
This, we want to do that. We want to get rid of this tax, that tax." But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do. All he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to
Millions
pour in.
and millions and
Our
millions and
military
millions of
doesn't
people.
respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel. It was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed.
Trump
Iran was
ASMR,
broke.
China.
They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the
Whoa.
Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times.
Oh, I thought he said Charlottesville was fake.
Because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military. We
said a
got the
bad word,
largest tax
guys.
cut in history, the largest regulation cut in history. The reason he's got jobs is because I cut the regulations that gave jobs.
Get some Trump
He's putting a lot
ASMR.
of those
Our
regulations
country
back
is
on.
going straight to
All
hell.
the things that we've done, nobody's never seen anything like. Even from a medical standpoint, right to try, where we can try space-age materials instead of going to Asia or going to Europe and trying to get when you're terminally ill. Now you can go and you can get something. You sign a document. They've been trying to get it for 42 years. But you know what we did for the military was incredible. Choice for our soldiers, where our soldiers, instead of waiting for 3 months to see a doctor, can go out and get themselves fixed up and readied up and take care of themselves, and they're living. And that's why I had the highest approval rating in the history of the VA. So all of these things, we're in a failing nation, but it's not going to be failing anymore. We're going to make it great again.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, former President
Wow.
Trump, President Biden. Stay with us because we have full analysis of this debate.
Nope.
Anderson Cooper and Aaron Burnett starts now on CNN.
All right, everybody. That was the first debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and it looks like they are not going to shake hands. That was it, everybody. I won't broadcast that. All right, everybody. Hang on. That was the first debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. We just saw it together. So I think Joe Biden is cooked, guys. I think he's just really slow. He's really sleepy. He's usually, he's talking like this. Look, he just woke up, And then Donald Trump, as wild and as his statements are, he looks more animated. He looks alive. Doesn't look any different than he did over the past 3 years. I mean, if you just saw this debate, then you would be like, okay, Donald Trump's the same dude. Same dude as he's always been. Joe Biden just looks tired. So I will definitely react to the YouTube poop video afterward, but, I'll try to stitch everything together. So then both of these streams come out as one. But this has been Paul Politico, and we just watched the debate. The first presidential debate between Donald J. Trump and Joseph R. Biden. And I will bring you my thoughts in probably a YouTube video. I think I want to do that. I think I want to make a YouTube video telling you my thoughts. But we just watched it together. And Paul will be back next week, and we will play some games, and I will give you more thoughts and prayers. But hope everyone has a great night. It is a late night here. It's time for me to go to bed. Peace out, everybody. It has been real. No, react. What do you mean? I mean, I thought it was, I thought it was a pretty slow debate, honestly. The fact that they muted the mics, made it so there was a lot less arguing and a lot less back and forth. But, I thought it was very slow. I think Biden's cooked, guys. But I'll react to that YouTube poop. I'll do it next time. But I gotta go to bed. It's been real, guys. This has been Paul Politico, and this has been the Press Room, the first Press Room back, and we'll be back at some point. Probably then the next debate happens and other things. But this has been Paul Politico. I will be signing out. See you guys later. Peace.